Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Hammer and Pickle podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Driver.
And I'm your host, Zach Martin.
And we are back again with video.
Yes.
For our
Number 2.
Episode 9, I think.
Yes.
And
we have stories.
We do. And some of them are big, some of them are small, and some of them are fun. So let's just get right into it.
Yes.
So first, we want to talk a little bit about
COVID
2.0.
The new disease that's going to kill us all.
Monkeypox.
Monkey.
Now, we shouldn't make jokes. It's becoming a big deal.
Has anyone died?
I don't know if anyone's died, but we have it's growing quite rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Vaccine access is in the works, but I think only a couple places have vaccines.
Well, they are getting vaccines out. I think first we might as well mention the nature of this viral disease.
Right. So the big thing around monkeypox is people are calling it the AIDS 2.0. They're calling it the gay disease again. And while yes, around I think it was 97% of the people that have contracted monkeypox have been gay men through intercourse, and they've contracted it through intercourse. It is not an STI. It is not an STD. It is not exclusively towards gay men either.
No, this disease is transmittable by skin-to-skin contact and close contact
to bodily fluids and the mucus in the body.
And it just so happens that the most common way to get that is going to be through gay sex, and that is just the statistically most likely way for you to get it. However, children can still get it without having any sexual contact whatsoever.
You can get it by hugging someone that has it.
Yeah, you can get it by just kissing. There are various ways of getting it that are not exclusive to gay men. However, just because of the contact that happens in gay sex, it is primarily affecting.
We should say anal sex specifically.
Well, it is affecting.
Majority
that demographic. Those are the people who need to be most aware of it. I mean,
right.
in major cities like New York, LA, where you are seeing these outbreaks, it is the gay men who are the ones getting the vaccines and who probably should be the most cautious about monkeypox.
But people will see an article by the CDC or some other expert that says gay men should be careful, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a gay disease. This is a gay disease, and you only get it if you're gay. If you get it, then you are gay. You've had gay sex." That's not true.
Absolutely, like AIDS.
Same thing with
this
AIDS.
will be used to weaponize and stigmatize against the LGBTQ community. I mean, like most things are, but it still isn't an STI, and I think this
is just a viral disease.
Yeah. I don't know if there's that much to say. We will see how this unfolds over the coming months, I guess. I think
New York, the city of New York, and San Francisco have both declared it like a state of emergency for the disease.
Yeah, well, it currently it does not seem like monkeypox has the potential to be as contagious and have as much of an impact as something like coronavirus.
But we don't really know.
We didn't think that would be the case in early COVID. So
yeah, I don't think anybody thought it was going to pop off like it did.
No, but we shall see. I don't think there's been any deaths. Let's see what the fatality rate is. It's range from 0 to 11%. In the West, no one has died yet, but monkeypox can lead to other problems that would make your condition worse, especially if that condition is in a young child.
Right.
So,
and I've seen pictures of some of the symptoms. Like you get lesions on your body and like sores and stuff.
Rashes and
it's not great. It looks kind of terrible, if I'm being honest.
No, it looks like pox.
Yeah. oh, maybe it's because it's monkeypox.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
I mean, is it something? I think there was an early connection to it developing in people who had the shingles virus.
I hadn't heard about that.
Is
I'm not sure.
A result of monkeypox. I don't know. We are in the generation of people who have never really had to worry about chicken pox.
No,
or any viral disease of this nature.
I think I actually did get a chicken pox vaccine. Yeah.
You probably. I mean, I definitely got the chicken pox.
No, I mean, sorry. I meant to say I remember when I got it. Like I got like a little bit of a rash or whatever. So
back in the day, though, they used to have like chicken pox parties for young kids.
What?
Because chickenpox is less severe, like the younger you are. So, like, I think either my mom or my grandmother was telling me this. I think it was my grandmother, but they would have like parties where like one kid in the class would get chickenpox, and then they want all the other kids to get it, just to like get it out of the way.
That's bizarre to me.
I mean, all
those kids have shingles now.
Oh yeah, and they all got shingles. So, get vaccinated.
Yeah, get vaccinated, guys. We're in 2022. Vaccines are effective. They work. They are real science. It's we should trust science. Vaccines are good.
Yeah,
get vaccinated.
Don't get monkeypox.
No.
And yeah,
don't have gay sex. Don't do it.
Especially if you're gay.
Yeah. Especially. Well, we'll make an exception for gay people, but if you're not gay, don't be having any gay sex.
It's probably a good call.
So we're kidding about that, obviously.
You can have all the gay sex you want.
Especially with me and Zach. Together.
We have to be invited, though.
Yeah. We have to watch over to make sure that there's
no
monkeypox.
gay sex allowed unless we're there to make sure it's as gay as possible.
You have to invite the CDC into your home so they can watch you have gay sex, so they can make sure there's no... We are CDC representatives, so they can make sure there's no monkeypox going around.
Yeah. FBI, female bodies.
I am an FBI agent. Now, strip. Anyway, moving on to
a different kind of authoritarianism,
right?
And than genitalia inspection,
and also our reoccurring segment of the week,
our dumbass of the week, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the representative from the great state of Georgia.
Who would have guessed?
Now, she's been in the news ever since she was elected. She is one of the new faces of the new Republican Party that is very pro-Trump, that is they pretty much exclusively focus on culture war issues, very anti-LGBT, anti-woke culture, anti-grooming, this kind of rhetoric that you hear all the time. Marjorie Taylor Greene's one of the forefronts of it.
Yeah, and I remember we talked a little, I think we talked a little bit about her in a previous episode, but she, just to give you a taste of her personality, one of her campaign ads involved her shooting a 50 cal rifle into a car, making it explode, and I think that car said something about socialism, communism, or something. Oh yeah,
she did do that.
She did do that.
I think like communism was just written on the car. It's like, we need to destroy communism.
Yeah, so just a little bit of a taste of what she's like as a politician and a person.
But whenever I see her in the news, it's always because she's saying like the most mask off thing possible. Like Republicans are getting a lot better at saying the quiet part out loud. They are really like just like up.
Well, now's the time to do it because they're actually like.
Well, it's working. I mean, they're not getting any pushback. I mean, they'll right to tell you
what's
that
the Democratic Party going to do?
That they are theocratic Christians who want to impose like a Christian theocracy and do like Christian Sharia on the U.S.
I was thinking about this recently. Like I was driving around. You know, we live in the Bible Belt. I was just driving around and. You see, if you've ever driven on the highways around the Bible Belt, you see Christian ads everywhere on the side of the highway.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. And I was thinking about this. Like, okay, we live in a nation that supposedly has this separation of church and state and is it's supposed to be a neutral, you know, religiously neutral country, I guess. We're not really, but anyway, that's what some people preach for, and that's like what we're supposed to be. But we see all these ads, these Christian ads. If you put any other religious ad anywhere that was like as bad as some of these Christian ads are, they would get taken down, they would get protested, they would get vandalized immediately.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
or literally anything else that's on the left leaning or not Christian.
I mean, it's not even left. I mean, you could do like it's very conservative Islam, like people who pretty much agree hook, line, and sinker with everything that a Christian theocrat would believe, right. But it's just seen as this entire other world or this other taboo. But the U.S. has never been a secular nation. The U.S. has never had a separation of church and state.
Not at all.
Christianity has always been the dominant religion, and that's what conservatives want it to be. And before we get into it, let's look at this clip.
So you see, I also call myself a Christian nationalist. And that's not a bad word. That's actually a good thing, right? And there's nothing wrong with leading with your faith, because we should lead with our faith. Because if we're doing that, then we're doing the right thing. It doesn't mean we're perfect, it just means we're doing the right thing. And I think that's what the Republican Party needs to be about.
Okay, so for starters, Christian nationalism is in fact a bad thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, I'm a dumbass. Explain to me why Christian nationalism
Okay.
is a bad thing.
So you know ISIS.
Yeah,
They would be defined as Islamic nationalists.
but they're terrorists
Yeah.
and they're evil
They're nationalists.
and they're brown.
Well, other than that part, which is of course the most important part.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, ISIS believes in fundamental Islam theocracy and believes that ideology needs to be spread, and believes that a nation only succeeds when everyone is bought into these theocratic ideas.
But what's wrong with that? I'm a devout Christian. I'm not a devout Christian. I'm a devout Christian. I think that everyone should be Christian, and it holds really good moral values.
Well, I mean, in this thought experiment, I mean, so if you believe in forcing your religion on people, then yeah, that's what you're doing. So you have to throw out any semblance of freedom of religion, any semblance of a separation of church and state, and
It's freedom in general.
Any idea that the people around you in your country, your fellow citizens, any idea that that these are going to be different people, that these are people with different beliefs, just throw that all out the window, and that's what you have if you're a Christian nationalist. In Marjorie Taylor Greene's mind, she wants everyone around her to think like her, act like her, and believe in the same things as she does. I mean, obviously, and that makes her life easier. She'll experience less pushback.
Yeah.
Like she says, she will have more faith in the things that she does, and she'll be more set in her beliefs because there will be no pushback or any separating ideas that conflict with her worldview.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we don't have anything against Christians in general, but like you can't say that Christianity hasn't been used as a mode of spreading conservative propaganda and
absolutely.
Other like traditional values and all the just across the like indoctrinating their children and everything into very hyper conservatism.
I mean, the abolition of Roe v. Wade was probably the first and most massive step that the U.S. has seen towards this Christian nationalist state since the end of World War II. I mean,
yeah,
like, and this is a project that the underbelly of the Republican Party has been working on for decades. They're not gonna stop. This is what they want to turn the world into, not for any like actual greater Christian purpose. I think it's more that they're using that, of course, to energize evangelical Christians, but they don't care about like the Bible or anything in terms of the people with actual power. They want to consolidate and further their agenda with people they know are going to be impressionable, listen to them, and if they can use the guise of religion to do whatever they want, then they're just God kings, which is what we had for hundreds of years in monarchies, where the king was appointed by God, and the God expressed his will through the king. And who are you to disagree with God?
Sounds like that could be easily exploited and bring a lot of harm to a lot of people.
Oh, I mean, yeah, duh.
I mean, weren't the Crusades like trying to spread Christianity too? It's like
there was like, I mean, with the Crusades, there was like 7 of them. They were all fought for like different reasons. I don't know. I'm no theocratic scholar.
It's
by
not
any means, but
it's not very, very good to try to force your religion upon other people.
I mean,
it doesn't really end well.
Christian's a religion based on proselytizing. It's a religion that encourages its followers to spread the gospel, to indoctrinate your fellow man, to save them. That's nothing new for Christianity,
right?
And it has been exploited by governments and by people in power ever since its inception for that exact purpose.
No, but she's different. Marjorie Taylor Greene is very different. This is a vastly different situation. She's right. She's good.
Marjorie Taylor Greene could be like picked out of like Bethlehem and like as like the village like dunce, and And like she wouldn't be out of place at all. Like she's not saying anything new. She's not saying anything like purposeful or something that's like that brings any new ideas to the table. It's old school like theocratic nationalism, and she's saying it out loud, which is the funny part. Which is like
verbatim.
Like it's this question is she stupid or does she know her base is that stupid? Because
a little bit of both.
The Republicans historically, I guess probably pre-Bush, or Bush, the most recent Bush administration kind of changed that thing, but and especially with Trump. But Republicans used to be very careful with the words they used. They were very good at not saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
At convincing their base that they had these best intentions at heart while still maintaining a guise of, oh, we like the Constitution, oh, we like separation of church and state, oh, we like all these moderate positions too. We're not crazy, we're not radical. And that's what the kind of Republican Party always prided itself on for many decades, is its formality, its reliance on precedent and what's the word, tradition. And that's kind of gone all out the window in the past like 10 years. We got Republicans owning Hooters ripoffs based on the Second Amendment, saying that they should be saying that they should be Christian nationalists, saying that that separation of church and state shouldn't be a thing, saying that like, of course, after Roe v. Wade, they're continuing to go further with like limiting contraceptive use. Like in many ways, the Republican Party has gotten very comfortable with telling you exactly how they are going to fuck up your life.
Why do you think that is? I mean, like,
because it's worked.
Well, what changed? Like, why are they able to do this now? Why is it that they're gaining like mainstream like traction?
Well, I think Trump set the bar. What happened with when Trump ran for office in 2016 was nobody took him seriously. No one on the conservative side took him seriously. No one on the Democratic side took him seriously. So what CNN and MSNBC would do is, because they knew he would get ratings, but they didn't take him seriously as a candidate. So they didn't use their political machine against him, but they would just run uninterrupted Trump speeches. This was early in 2015, before anyone took him seriously. They would just run these speeches uninterrupted on every major news network because it got ratings. And then eventually he started blowing traditional Republicans out of the water in the polling, and the Republican Party had to move and accept him as their candidate, and they've been trying to
champion. Yeah,
and they've been trying to pick up the pieces really ever since, because the institutional Republican Party does not like this shift.
No.
The current Republican Party is, I think, trying to make efforts to prevent Trump from running. Again, they, I think, would much rather have someone like Ron DeSantis run. And that's because, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party also operates on stability, and it operates on the people in power maintaining that power. And while Trump is nothing new, he's a billionaire who made a lot of money from daddy and scamming people with shitty hotels and steaks in college or whatever. He was an outsider, and he still brought a guise of unease and uncontrollability that the Republican Party did not like. And I think that's why they are kind of scared to see what another 4 years of Trump would look like. Obviously, he was an effective legislator and put in more Supreme Court justices than Obama or Joe Biden has currently.
It's what caused Roe v. Wade to be taken down.
If you want to look at Trump as a successful Republican, one of the most successful things he did was pack the courts. Like, Jesus Christ. He did a great job doing that for the Republicans. I mean, I think he did a terrible job, but politically speaking, he did a good job.
For the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So are you saying that they're kind of afraid of him because he's unpredictable, or that he's just so powerful?
I mean, the presidency is ultimately a stand-in for the inner workings of the entirety of the party.
Right.
So I think the concern with the Republican Party is that this new era of Trump wing conservatives, like your Lauren Boeberts, your Marjorie Taylor Greenes,
Trumpism.
The Trump, like Trumpism. Yeah, sure. I think their worry is that that is eventually going to overtake their power as traditional Republicans, as more like milquetoast conservatives. And if there's actually a shift to where the institutional Republicans, the ones pulling the strings, are Trumpists, that would lead to like a fascist uprising potentially.
And do you think it would implode, like the Republican Party?
I mean, probably,
because it could.
It's so different, but I don't think it's the Republican Party wouldn't want to split because they don't want to lose the votes.
Right, because if they split, then that's terrible.
Yeah,
for them. I mean, that's why
they're gonna stay together and operate under the guise of one Republican Party. If Trump wanted to start his own party, that'd be the only kind of way, and I don't think that'd succeed.
He wouldn't win.
But if the Republican Party just became like the true Trump party, and like the Federal Society and all these like think tanks and all of like the Republican institutions were Trumpists or whatever, that we would see a fascist uprising from the Republican Party. I don't think that's going to happen. I
hope not.
The people currently pulling the strings of Republican power, like the Federal Society, they all like to maintain the stability they have and see their numbers go up and their power maintained at a base level. Whether or not that's a Democrat or Republican in party doesn't matter, or in office, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant at the end of the day, as long as the stability of the people in power is ultimately maintained. And I think Trump is a much bigger threat to that than any other just run-of-the-mill Republican.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go into some lighter stuff. A little Swiftie news, a little Tay-Tay Swizzle. She's been
Don't say that. Don't ever say that again.
Tay-Tay Swizzle?
Ooh.
You not a Swiftie?
I am not a Swiftie. I haven't listened to Taylor Swift since she... I have never listened to Taylor Swift.
Well, I'm a Swiftie.
Really?
I'm a big Swiftie.
That's news to me.
Have I listened to a Taylor Swift album in 3 years? Probably not. But Fearless goes hard. Our Song goes hard. I know Fearless is the album. Speak Now, all the old Taylor stuff, classics.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Free Taylor, I know that was settled. But she's been in the news recently. She's been a lot of controversy for her emissions.
For her emissions of all things, yeah.
her carbon emissions, to be more specific.
What other emissions is she releasing?
Methane.
Yeah.
Those Taylor farts.
Oh, you could bottle those. You should start selling them.
Hey, Taylor Swift. Our people will talk to your people. Swift farts coming soon.
Let's get this in the works.
You're going to be next Belle Delphine. But yeah, so apparently Taylor Swift's private jet has chartered over 170 flights this year alone, producing over 8,000 tons of carbon emission.
Wow.
And she topped the list of celebrity carbon emissions, outranking those of Kylie Jenner, the Kardashians.
Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Chill out. Stop flying. Stop flying as much. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, apparently she took a 17-minute flight to fly to the grocery store.
Okay, that's a little excessive.
No, that was Kylie Jenner. My bad.
Either way, that's
those are the biggest celebrities. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so she topped the list. She has flies like every other day, it seems like, and Swifties are not happy.
I mean, I think that's a valid criticism. She's flying a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the most important thing?
So it's more than a U.S. American does within 550 years, and more than a person in India would in over 4,300 years.
Okay, that's a pretty big deal, honestly. That's a lot of
carbon emissions. It is a lot of carbon emissions. I mean, and don't get me wrong, Taylor Swift can do whatever she wants in a lot of regards, and I do believe that in terms of the climate crisis, I think pinning it on individuals is misguided, and I think we should be focused on more on corporations.
Yeah.
and their carbon emissions.
The climate problem is the responsibility of the large capitalist corporations that we as an American country have created, and the American government as well, and all other like major governments and large corporations around the world.
But if you're Taylor Swift, I mean, 8,000 tons of emissions is like the equivalent of a small company.
Yeah. Well, she is pretty much a small company herself, or a big company.
Yeah.
But that's insane. Taylor Swift, ride a bus, ride a train, or drive your car or something. I don't know. Chill out.
And I think when one of the reasons why this became kind of a story is because of how Taylor Swift presents herself as this Tennessee girl. I think she was born in Georgia, actually. But as someone who was raised in Tennessee, very humble, doesn't like flaunt her wealth as much, isn't really in the public eye as much, to where you wouldn't think about her flying like all the time across the country. Yeah. I mean, apparently her boyfriend's English or European or something, so she probably flies there across. I mean, I don't really care at the end of the day. It's just something to talk about, something.
I mean, that is a lot of that's a huge carbon footprint for one person.
I mean, yeah, and if the British firm, the Yard, I think, that assembled these rankings, if she really is the most polluting celebrity, then
I don't think there's really one way to know that.
I mean, yeah, like what about Elon Musk? Does he count?
I mean, he's a celebrity, so. But
it's worth looking at how much responsibility do these individuals really have for their gross carbon usage? Because I mean, like, obviously I don't expect Taylor Swift to fly commercial. Logistically, that causes way more problems than it solves.
Right. No, I mean, she would get swarmed, and then that specific plane would get.
No, she could shut down an airport.
Yeah, exactly.
Like by herself, like just by walking around.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know if that's like the best idea, but.
Yeah, but she doesn't have to fly everywhere like she apparently is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there has to be some alternative to where. I mean, I don't know. Like we said earlier, she might be leasing these jets out on a daily basis to where it's not her always flying it, which, if so, it's a pretty decent excuse, because then it just looks like her emissions are really high when it's the accumulation of a bunch of different celebrities' emissions.
From that plane, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But there's also other alternatives. Like, I feel like she could... I mean, driving also isn't the best example, but if you got to fly overseas, I mean, they could take smaller private jets, maybe that have like multiple people on them. I don't know. I don't really think any of this matters, other than signaling that we need a greater shift towards renewable energy.
Yeah, I mean, that's not sustainable.
To prevent things like this from happening in the future.
I mean, there are planes that... Think about every single airport that there's a plane going out constantly that's way bigger than that, consuming way more fuel than that.
Oh, I mean...
like, literally every hour of every day.
Yeah, every minute of every day.
Yeah. That's a lot of carbon emissions.
Mm-hmm.
And if just Taylor Swift's probably oversized private jet, smaller than a commercial airline, is consuming that much fuel every year, that's... I mean, you can't imagine how much is being emitted, how many emissions are being thrown out there every year from just commercial flights.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's a little eye-opening. Like, that one person is using that much,
and
in a private
this
jet.
Isn't really something with any clear solution.
No,
I mean other than like zero waste, or not zero waste, zero emission planes.
I mean, what are you gonna have, like an electric plane?
Yeah,
like, that's not coming anytime soon.
No, probably not. So I don't know. I think maybe the only answer really is to focus on the emissions we could control, which would be limiting corporations from being able to admit as much as possible. Admit as many admissions as possible. That's the right word.
And I mean, I think it's also on the governments to make legislation to force these companies to lower their emissions and be clear and transparent about it.
We should really probably be closing the carbon tax loophole. That's pretty bad. That's what Tesla uses pretty much as their main source of revenue.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, all right. Moving on. We got some video game news.
For all the
talk about,
gamers out there.
For all the gamers out there, Grand Theft Auto is a series pretty near and dear to my heart. I've enjoyed quite a few of the titles.
I've only played GTA 5,
I've
but
played a little bit of 5.
One of the biggest games of our lifetimes, like most popular at least.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 sold, I think, more than any other video game.
Yeah.
Except like Tetris, but it was one of the top-selling games of all time.
Pretty much everyone knows about and has either or has played GTA 5.
Yeah. Well, you at least know the crime, Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
But so GTA 6, of course, long-awaited follow-up to GTA 5.
Yeah, and they've finally announced a little bit of news about the game itself, and some of it is controversial.
Yeah,
and has reached news.
At first, they're having a female protagonist, which I think is the first one since the actually first GTA. I think had a female protagonist.
And I don't really have a problem with that at all. Like,
no, I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that.
No, why would they? I mean, as long as it's a good story.
Yeah.
Which I think that's more that goes beyond who's the main character.
Never mind. I have a big problem with it. Women should not be able to be main characters.
Why are there even women in my video games?
This is bullshit.
Unless it's a stripper I can kill, I want a woman nowhere near my video games. I don't want to think about them. I don't want to know they exist.
Precisely. We're top Gs.
They are objects for my pleasure and murder. In Grand Theft Auto.
Agree with you 100% in Grand Theft Auto.
In Grand Theft Auto. But I feel like the more concerning part of this report really is that the game is going to try to be more woke, whatever the hell that means.
What does that even mean? Yeah, like, what are they going to do?
So
does that mean having actual like LGBTQ people in the game?
Well, that's nothing new. They had a whole DLC for GTA 4 called The Ballad of Gay Tony.
Okay, I didn't know that. but it's just funny. Like, what does woke mean?
I mean, so there were some reports earlier that Rockstar Games came under fire for not having the best corporate culture, for being a little bit of a boys' club. So that might be a response to this. But
yeah, I had read they also had almost all other major game developer company, issues with overtime, overworking.
Oh, absolutely.
Issues with. Actually, I don't know what else they had, but I know they had a big issue.
Well, male domination too is a huge part of the industry.
Okay, yes,
just because it is 90% male in the video game industry.
Right.
Every company from Activision to Rockstar has had some corporate criticism in this way and with gender pay gaps and stuff. But looking at GTA 6, it's like, why, like, what is there to gain from the game being like a little more woke than its predecessors? What does that even mean? Like,
it's just like, it doesn't. GTA is not supposed to be the most progressive, pushing these progressive values. Like,
no,
it's a video game where you kill strippers and police officers.
If anything,
and civilians.
It's a parody of the U.S. and the hyper realistic or examination of culture that it presents is ridiculous, and that's the point. It's comical that you can have like these rich dudes run around just beating up cops and people on the side of the road, and then they just like kind of die and walk out of the hospital. You can like skydive and drive your cars through traffic and all this stuff. It's comical. It's a parody of the real world. I mean, and I think part of that parody is how like the entire game's based around money. You buy things, you earn money. That's really the only thing that matters. When you are like convicted of a crime, you just lose money. There's no other like punishment or currency in the game other than that. Right. And I think that in itself is a parody of the United States. It works in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very money dominated. If you have a lot of money in GTA, you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's the point.
Right.
I think. But so realistically, what could they do to make it more like woke? Would it be like, are there pronouns on GTA Online now? No, are drugs no longer a part of the story?
I guess we'll just have to see. Like,
in my opinion, GTA 6 is going to be no different. I think it's all just marketing and them just trying to like maybe save face. But I can't imagine Rockstar is too concerned about GTA 6 not doing well because people are fed up with woke culture or anti-woke culture. I mean, there was definitely a time and place for where something of this nature, like a series like Grand Theft Auto, trying to be more inclusive, would be received positively. Back in maybe like the 2016, 2017, that kind of time where this stuff was really popular.
Mm-hmm.
In the year 2020, when this game isn't probably going to release until 2026 at the earliest,
Yeah.
is there really a need for this game to be any more or less woke?
No, not really.
And it's not like, I mean, as someone who is a progressive and tries to view the content they consume very critically, I don't remember being overtly like offended by anything in GTA 6. Of course, they use like the F slur, which maybe that's what they're talking about. If all GTA 6 does is they don't say the F slur, like, okay, cool, that's fine.
That's probably
a good thing. Like, sure, I don't think that really takes away from the core gameplay.
I don't know why you would consider that woke culture, though.
No, it's not. It's
that's just being a reasonable human being.
I'd see that much more as just like being in with the times, more so than like an active.
Well, that's synonymous with woke culture now.
Yeah, I mean, a woke culture is doing anything that is like appealing to the majority of people. I guess that's the conservative idea of anything that doesn't appeal to my what I find offensive in a positive way, to where what I like to be what I like to offend someone else with, if it doesn't agree with that, then it's woke culture.
Yeah. And speaking of woke culture and just like new culture, new theories, stuff like that. Let's go on to a couple words from probably our generation's most prolific and most successful, most intelligent gender scholars.
We're doing gender theory on the Hammer and Pickle
We are
podcast?
doing gender theory. Let's just. I'm not even gonna say anything else. Let's just go ahead and watch this.
This guy might have some good points. We should listen to him.
I talked to a student recently at one of our woke college campuses who said she's required in every class to introduce herself and to give her pronouns. Well, I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
Really, really revolutionary pronoun usage from Theodore Jebediah Cruz.
Oh, yes.
The second.
Again, one of our probably most prolific and intelligent gender scholars of this generation.
Absolutely. I mean, that is really cutting edge. I have not heard kiss my ass as a pronoun before.
I know, this is really progressive.
But hey, I mean,
moving on from using actual pronouns to full sentences.
So we will be referring to Ted Cruz as kiss my ass.
Yes, kiss my ass Ted Cruz.
That's what he wants. So kiss my ass Ted Cruz is Canadian for one, and even though he is a Texas senator who loves to play American chud politics and pretend like he is a red and white and blue-blooded American, he is not. He is one of Canada's worst imports or exports, I should say.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, this is just ridiculous. Like I really, really dislike the crusade conservatives have against like pronoun usage, because it is so lame and boring. Like, just find something more interesting to get mad about.
You're really gonna get mad at someone for wanting to be called something themselves? Like, okay, you go around, you say, my nickname is this, I want to be called by this. No one's gonna go around and be like, no, I'm gonna call you by your legal birth name, and fuck you for saying you want a nickname.
Yeah. No, it'd be like the same as like if like conservatives got up on stage and just cried about how these millennial mothers naming all these kids' names with Y where there shouldn't be Y. Trayvon, Craven, what is it, like Kyler, Mylan.
What are you gonna do? Call them Tyler instead of their legal name, like that they want to be called? Like,
it's like it's a name. Who gives a shit?
What's the point? What's the point in fighting this battle?
The point is it gets the people going.
Yeah, it gets all the transphobes going, the transphobic conservatives going.
Yeah, it's. I think
we're feminizing our men. We're feminizing our young men, and this is bad because we need hard-working men.
Yeah, it comes from this like complete disregard for like another person, what they care about or who they are as a person.
Well, that's the name of the game for the conservatives.
Well, yeah, obviously. And then it also goes to the sense of like, oh, we can't have someone else tell me what to do as a individual, a thinking individual in the United States of America, and I have to respect someone else's like belief. Like it's kind of insane. But it's just funny when Republicans like Ted Cruz or Jordan Peterson or something make such a big deal out of like pronoun usage. Like it's such a non-topic. It's not something that anyone should really ever think about unless you personally are someone who wants to change your pronouns. And if so, good for you.
Yeah.
Let me know. I'll use the proper ones.
Yeah.
But
it really shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, saying your pronouns while you're introducing yourself to people in a formal setting, sure, why not? Who cares? I love it how conservatives make all these like minuscule, small culture war topics like the biggest thing. And they do this all the time, and it's usually at the expense of trans people. It's usually at the expense of LGBTQ people. That's a little redundant, but
what are you saying that they're not part of the LGBTQ community?
What I said trans people, and then I said trans people again. But it's just hilarious because they make this like such a big deal, and they do it to obfuscate. They do it to blur any connection between like real issues, like if we want to talk about healthcare, we want to talk about police reform, if we want to talk about gun reform, we want to talk about criminal justice reform, we could talk about U.S.'s foreign policy, any of the other topics where Republicans are either wrong or just like don't think it's a marketable enough like soundbite. So they all just talk about pronouns or teachers grooming children or Hunter Biden or just stuff that looks good in headlines, stuff that will get their base mobilized enough to vote in the primaries and more importantly in the general election. Mm-hmm. And it's all just marketing. It really is. Whenever I see a Republican like say like a soundbite like this, it's all just like, okay, so your team was working on that for the past 3 days. You knew that it was going to get some pickup. You know it would get some applause in the crowd, and you're just going to move on. Because do you really think Ted Cruz cares about pronoun usage? No. I don't think so. I think if anyone in his personal life, in his immediate circle, told him to use pronouns, he'd probably respect them.
Well, doesn't he have a daughter that is part of the LGBTQ community?
Well, his daughter's a Minecraft stan.
Oh, never mind.
So, yeah, yes, the answer is yes, she is a member of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, never mind.
We shouldn't
circle. Respect their opinion.
That's a circle.
I'm kidding.
But, yeah, Ted Cruz, I don't think ultimately gives a shit about pronouns. I don't think he
understands what a pronoun is.
I mean, obviously he used a verb, a noun, and then a possessive pronoun, saying that it was his pronoun. So he might just need to take 5th grade English again.
Yeah.
Learn your parts of speech, Ted. Did they not teach that in Canadian grade school?
No, it's not part of the curriculum.
That was only in the Indian residential schools they taught.
Right, exactly. So moving on to a lighter, well, I don't know about necessarily lighter, but
it's a pretty scary story if you ask me.
It's kind of funny though. So there was a chess robot that had been going and playing against this child, and
so when computers playing chess is nothing normal. This was a big thing kind of in the 90s and early 2000s when computers were getting big, and then one of the tests to see how powerful a computer was for a while was how well could it play chess.
Yeah.
And then it's finally gotten to the point where like a computer is now better at a human than chess.
Mm-hmm. But this is not just a CPU.
No, this is not a chess computer.
This is a robotic arm that was playing chess.
Yes.
And so what went wrong is the question. So
this was at the Moscow Open, and the chess bot was playing a 7-year-old, and fractured his finger.
It broke his finger.
Yeah. The kid was playing a move too quickly, or I guess, and then the robot just grabbed his finger and wouldn't let go, and it fractured.
That's scary.
Shout out to the kid, though, because he finished the tournament.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's impressive. Shout out to the youth in Moscow.
Yeah, Christopher. Shout out, I don't know if they released his full name because he was like a 7-year-old. I would like to see how good he is at chess. But, I mean, if he's a 7-year-old in the Moscow Open.
He might be scared of chess now.
Fighting a robot. He finished
Well,
it.
I guess he finished the tournament, so.
So he's got a steel head for being able to.
Yeah. So this is the sign of our of the robotic uprising. If you ever watched the movie Terminator, that's what's coming.
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
But it's a chess playing RoboCop. It's actually Emery Tate, the father of Andrew Tate.
It's a soul. They put his soul into the robot, and that's why he's like, "Fuck you! You're not playing chess good enough. Break your finger."
Assault beta. You're not drinking bubble water.
Yeah, the kid was not drinking bubble water. He
You gotta
was
be
not a
drinking
top G.
bubble water at the chess tournament. All right.
All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of the Hammer and Pickle podcast.
And join us next week where we talk about
More stuff.
More breaking Hammer and Pickle breaking news. Hopefully. Thank you. Join us next week.
Have a good week. Bye.